And I was like, I need the diarrhea immediately. I didn't know that you weren't supposed to take that much LSD. Honestly, 37 showers is like maybe the most I've showered in a few years. And so he organized a birthday gang for me.
Wait a minute! Who are you?
I am Aella. I'm a sex worker and researcher and writer, and I'm best known online for probably the sex work stuff. No, I was a cam girl because I was a poor homeschooler. I was like, I need money. So I was camming, but I was a homeschooler. And I don't know, there's some like cultural gaps that happen when you do that. And so I was pretty weird as a cam girl. And then I was posting on Reddit. I think the first big thing I did was the gnome series, because at the time it was standard for girls to like post a series of photos where they're like slowly taking off their clothes in each photo. And so I did this and then got kidnapped by gnomes as the photos progressed, and people liked that a lot. I shot it myself by like taking screen grabs with my webcam. It was like really janky and it took me a long time. What happened was I knew that like you're supposed to post in the morning. This was a good time. I went to see the dentist that morning and then I decided to walk home. It was about a 45-minute walk home. Right at the beginning of the walk, when I stopped, I ate a sandwich, like a really big greasy sandwich. And like an hour or so before, I had just posted the gnome set. I didn't think much of it. I posted it, I ate the sandwich, and then I kept walking. And then as I kept walking, it was just like exploding in the ranks. Like my phone started just going off. But I also have IBS. And so my stomach was feeling pretty bad. And I was like, I need the diarrhea immediately. And so I started looking for a place to diarrhea, but the places I was walking through was like really upper end suburban homes. And I was like, this is not good. And then it starts raining really hard. I'm like, should I wait for a bus? Should I get on a bus to go to a place? Would that be faster? So I sit at a bus stop for a while, but the bus isn't coming. And I'm like, this is not good. Like, am I going to poop at a bush? And then I was like walking down the sidewalk at some point, and then I did poop at a bush. I had to jump into a bush right on the side of the road, and I pulled out my pants. Luckily, I think the rain was actually a benefit at this point because it was raining so hard. People weren't out. Like it was over a park, and so people sort of had cleared out of the park. And it was just a horrible, horrible pile of diarrhea in this bush. But while this is all happening, I am becoming famous. Like people are being like, oh my God, you're so sexy and funny. And it was like really surreal to have like such intense experiences happening simultaneously. And then I walked to a gas station and I threw my underwear away in the trash. And then I got home and I took a shower. And then that was really exciting. It was my first taste at having a lot of attention, and I really liked it. Yeah, it was the #1 post of all time on Gone Wild for some years, and it was the 11th top post of all time of all of Reddit. Well, I partially think like the standards for hot girls are so low that you just sneeze funny and people are like, oh my God, she's doing something, right? Like I kind of feel like a talking dog. Like, oh, how cute. Like I don't think I'm particularly funny. Like compared to great comedians, I'm like kind of mid, right? The only thing that's happening is I'm combining it with sex. And people are like, what? So I think like people are just shocked that there's like any effort going on into it at all.
You know what? I think we're gonna be friends.
Special friends.
I mean, I didn't know that you weren't supposed to take that much LSD. But somebody gave me LSD, I took it, I'm like, wow, this is great. And then I was like, should I do it again? And they were like, if you feel like it's good for you, then yeah. And so I was like, okay. And then I just did it as much as I wanted to. I was taking quite high doses, like probably on average once a week for about 10 months. And it radically changed me for the better, I would say. But it was definitely, from the outside, I think it looked concerning for a while. Honestly, 37 showers is like maybe the most I've showered in a few years. It could have been a lot worse. Like I didn't know poo for 4 years, and that's complicated. Like there's like pros and cons, and it depends on where you are and whatever. I think I'm particularly starting noticing it once when I went out camping for a while and I like didn't shower. Like I've been showering like, you know, every couple of days or every day for a while. And I went out camping for quite a long time. I didn't shower for a long period of time. And I got home and I like smelled like fine or whatever. And I took a shower, and then immediately after I showered, I smelled really bad. And then I started experimenting with it. I'm like, how long can I go without shower? Like, and then I realized that like if I continually like push through the sticky part and then stop showering, then my stink actually started reducing. And it's not 100% perfect. Like you have to do something very similar to hair. Like you can't just not do anything to your hair. But like stink depends a lot on, like, for example, airflow. If you are not airflowing air through your butt crack, it's gonna be pretty bad. Or like if I sweat really bad and I have my hair up in a ponytail and I don't take my hair out of the ponytail, then my hair will stink pretty bad. So I had to like learn like the basic things, and I like learned how to make my armpits stop stinking without using soap. But now it's a lot better. Now I'm not saying I'm never stinky, but I'm saying that like the amount that I stink is significantly less
than when I would shower all the time. People's worldviews are really set in stone. Like, for example, there's a lot of good evidence that I'm probably not stinky. Like, for example, I'm a very successful escort. I've written about an escort. I'm interviewed about being an escort. I am having sex with men for money, and I keep stats on how many of them return. It's about a 60% return rate. So clearly there is some good evidence. It would be a very confusing world if I'm like a really rank person who's somehow managing to be also a successful escort. But like people like will hold both of these things simultaneously in their head and like decide that just like not make them touch. It'll be like, oh, she must both stink and she's successful. At one of the orgies we threw, people ran a train on me, and that was wonderful. I loved that so much. I think it was like 8 or 10 guys or something, and it was really organic. And I was like on a high for a couple days after that. My boyfriend saw that and was like, oh, I wonder what happens if we try and run even more guys on you, because you seem like you like that so much. And so he organized a birthday game for me, which was so much work. It's a lot more work than you think, because you have to vet strangers, applicants, and then like a whole bunch of volunteers. Like we're interviewing them with like video calls, and then they had to go through like a testing process because like you don't want to trust STD tests. So we had to have like a third-party verification service. And my boyfriend did all of it. I just, because it was for my birthday and it was a gift. So I just sort of sat back and like, yeah, and then it happened and it was fun and interesting. But when stuff like this goes viral, where I like stand behind it, I'm like, yes, I had this birthday game and it was great. I really liked it. People seem to not to understand the kinky part of it, because I really like CNC and like being held down while I struggle and stuff. I think it's great. When I had elements of that in my birthday gang, people were like, oh my god, this poor girl like secretly doesn't want it. She must be damaged. And I was like, like guys, you just need to educate yourself about kink a little more, okay? I'm very much consenting and I really enjoy this. I was real nervous. I think I said in my post that like, I don't think I enjoyed it as much as I could have, because it felt like I didn't want to scare them off. Because like the way that I enjoy sex was like pretty intense, and I think a lot of guys legitimately don't like it. I was nervous about making sure they had a good time, which I think detracted from my enjoyment. So I probably wouldn't do it again. In order to enter the thing, you had to get naked. Like you would enter the little greeting room, you would strip yourself of your clothes, put it in a bag, because like we didn't want to risk having anybody with a phone. And you get like a custom robe for you. And so everybody's walking around like you've gone through this process of like getting naked and getting dressed in a robe and like letting go of your worldly possessions, and you're like wandering around with a bunch of other dudes. So it was a lot of camaraderie. People were really encouraging. It was really nice. I think the people, the volunteers, my friends who were vetting the people attending, did a really good job. It was also turned out to be nice just to have it a little bit more of a sexy vibe, because like after you me, you were able to enter like a back room where like some of the fluffers got to hang out, and so I think from what I hear, sort of a natural orgy just took place there, which I think was lovely.